For decades, Taiwan has been the flashpoint that every historian, strategist, and diplomat feared. A small island nation, roughly the size of the U.S. state of Maryland, yet the center of a potential global catastrophe. Why? Because Taiwan is not just a country. It is the heart of the global semiconductor industry, a key node in supply chains worth trillions of dollars, and a symbol of freedom facing authoritarian ambition. By 2025, analysts began using a phrase that captured the stakes: the $2 trillion trap. This is not a metaphor. It is the real cost, both financial and geopolitical, that could be unleashed if China attempts to seize Taiwan by force. And unlike past warnings, the evidence now suggests the clock is ticking. The geopolitical chessboard. The world has long understood the dynamics. China claims Taiwan as part of its sovereign territory. Taiwan insists it is independent. For decades, the U.S. and its allies have maintained a delicate balance, supporting Taiwan militarily while avoiding direct confrontation with Beijing. But something has changed. Economic pressure points. Taiwan produces more than 60% of the world's advanced semiconductors, including the most critical chips used in smartphones, computers, electric vehicles, and military systems. Any disruption in Taiwan would ripple across global markets instantly. Military buildup. Over the last decade, China has rapidly modernized its military. Missile systems, cyber capabilities, naval expansion, and amphibious assault technology have all surged. Analysts now estimate that China could attempt a limited invasion within the next few years if other variables align. U.S. strategic constraints. While the United States remains committed to Taiwan's defense on paper, real-world logistics, troop deployments, aircraft carrier positioning, and supply chain vulnerabilities make immediate intervention far from guaranteed. These factors together create a trap. The longer the world waits, the more expensive and dangerous a conflict becomes. The economic stakes, $2 trillion and counting. To understand the $2 trillion trap, consider this. Taiwan's semiconductor industry is the lifeblood of modern technology. Its factories produce chips that power everything from smartphones to fighter jets. The global semiconductor market depends heavily on Taiwan's production, with over $600 billion in annual exports. Any blockade or invasion could halt global production for months, triggering shortages, skyrocketing prices, and potentially crashing markets. $1 trillion trap. Taiwan's TSMC, the world's leading chip manufacturer, is responsible for producing chips used in advanced military systems, processors powering electric vehicles and AI technologies, core components of consumer electronics. Worldwide control of these chips equals control of the future economy and military capability. China knows this, and it knows that any delay gives Taiwan and the U.S. time to diversify supply chains, stockpile critical technology, strengthen domestic production elsewhere. This is why analysts argue that the longer the wait, the higher the risk of war. China may feel compelled to act before global dependency shifts further. Regional dominoes. Taiwan does not exist in isolation. Its potential conflict affects the entire Indo-Pacific. Japan, a key ally strategically dependent on Taiwan's stability for its own security. South Korea, a manufacturing hub that could be disrupted if trade routes are blocked. Southeast Asia, economies tied to exports and shipping lanes in the Taiwan Strait. Even a short war could trigger cascading effects. Blocked shipping lanes in the South China Sea, global supply chain disruptions. Inflation spikes in electronics, vehicles, and defense systems. The dominoes fall faster than most strategists admit. And the cost? Not millions, not billions, but trillions of dollars in untold geopolitical upheaval. Why this conflict is likely put together, the elements suggest a grim reality. China sees Taiwan as a strategic imperative, politically, economically, and militarily. Time favors Taiwan and its allies. Every year increases China's risk of a failed operation. The $2 trillion economic factor makes hesitation politically costly for global powers. Regional dynamics push both sides toward action rather than inaction. In short, the trap is closing. The longer the world waits, the more likely a conflict becomes and the more catastrophic its consequences. The $2 trillion trap is more than a warning. It is a ticking clock. Taiwan is not just a political flashpoint. It is the center of the technological, economic, and strategic future of the world. China's ambitions, the U.S.'s strategic constraints, and the fragile balance of regional security have created a perfect storm. Analysts argue that the world is now standing on the edge of a conflict that could reshape global power, trade, and technology for decades. China's military modernization. Preparing for Taiwan. Over the last 2 decades, China has invested aggressively in modernizing its military. The PLA is no longer the regional force it once was. It is becoming a global power projection tool. Key areas of modernization include missile systems. Thousands of precision-guided missiles capable of targeting Taiwan's air bases, ports, and military installations. Anti-ship ballistic missiles, ASBMs, designed to deter or destroy U.S. carrier strike groups. Short-range missiles capable of saturating Taiwan's defenses in a coordinated strike. Naval expansion. A rapidly growing navy, including aircraft carriers, amphibious assault ships, and missile destroyers. The capacity to conduct a large-scale amphibious invasion, at least in theory, though operational risk remains high. Cyber and electronic warfare offensive cyber capabilities targeting Taiwan's communications, banking, and defense systems. Electronic warfare systems designed to blind radar and communication networks. Air superiority 5th-generation stealth fighters, long-range bombers, and advanced drones to maintain air dominance in the Taiwan Strait. Taken together, these capabilities show that China has not only prepared for the possibility of conflict, but is positioning itself to control the initial phase decisively. The challenge, however, lies in execution. Amphibious operations, air superiority, and logistics over water are extraordinarily complex. The timing factor. Timing is crucial. Analysts argue that China feels pressure from multiple sources, Taiwan's strengthening defenses. With American and allied support, Taiwan has invested heavily in anti-ship missiles, radar systems, and asymmetric warfare tactics. Every passing year makes a PLA operation riskier and costlier. Delay allows Taiwan to fortify further, stockpile weapons, and integrate intelligence from allies. U.S. strategic adjustments. Washington has been increasing military exercises in the Pacific, enhancing missile defense systems, and deepening intelligence sharing with Taipei. A delay gives the U.S. more time to position forces, coordinate allies, and tighten supply chains, further complicating China's calculus. Domestic pressures. China faces slowing economic growth, rising debt, and demographic challenges. The Communist Party relies heavily on nationalism to maintain internal cohesion. A decisive move on Taiwan could consolidate domestic support while the window is favorable. Yet Taiwan's strategy is not to match China blow for blow. It is to make an invasion prohibitively costly. Asymmetric warfare, coastal missile batteries capable of sinking PLA landing craft before they reach shore, anti-ship missiles hidden in mountainous terrain and disguised as civilian structures, small, mobile units designed to strike quickly and vanish, creating chaos for a larger force, air defense and radar networks integrated missile systems capable of targeting incoming aircraft and cruise missiles, advanced radar and early warning networks supported by U.S. intelligence, layered defenses that force attackers to commit resources before establishing air superiority, naval deterrence, submarines and fast attack craft designed to disrupt amphibious operations, mines and underwater obstacles in key landing zones, coordination with allied intelligence to target PLA vessels effectively. Taiwan AES military doctrine emphasizes delay and attrition, making a PLA landing so costly that even if they succeed initially, occupation becomes politically, militarily, and economically unsustainable. The role of advanced technology is Taiwan's most significant advantage. The island's defense systems are increasingly networked with intelligence-sharing partners, including the United States and Japan. Missile guidance and AI. Advanced targeting systems improve accuracy and reduce PLA effectiveness. Cybersecurity. Taiwan has invested heavily in defending critical infrastructure and financial networks. Electronic warfare. Systems designed to disrupt Chinese communications and command and control capabilities. Even a smaller force can defend against a larger adversary if it combines terrain advantage, technology, and strategy. Taiwan's preparation turns the Taiwan Strait into a nightmare scenario for China, even before a single shot is fired. The U.S. response and the Pacific theater. Taiwan is not alone. The United States remains the most capable military power in the Pacific and a committed, though cautious, supporter of Taiwan. The U.S. strategy emphasizes deterrence and rapid response. Forward presence aircraft carriers, amphibious assault ships, and submarines stationed in key locations, rapid deployment of fighter jets, missile defense, and special operations forces. Allied coordination Japan, South Korea, Australia, and other Pacific partners participate in exercises to prepare for contingencies. Shared intelligence on PLA movements, logistics, and missile launches, economic leverage, threat of sanctions, and trade restrictions to deter aggressive action. Coordinated strategies to protect global semiconductor supply chains. While the U.S. cannot guarantee complete defense, the combination of forward presence, alliances, and technological advantage raises the potential cost of any PLA invasion exponentially. Regional implications. The domino effect. The $2 trillion trap is not confined to Taiwan. Its effects would ripple across the Indo-Pacific and beyond. Japan. Dependent on Taiwan for semiconductor components and strategic security, Tokyo would face immediate economic and military pressure. South Korea. Manufacturing hubs could be disrupted, impacting global technology supply chains. Southeast Asia, shipping lanes through the South China Sea could be blocked or contested, affecting trade worth hundreds of billions annually. Even countries outside Asia, including the United States and Europe, would feel the shock through trade disruption, market volatility, and financial uncertainty. A Taiwan conflict would trigger a global economic cascade, far exceeding any regional war in recent memory. The economic dominoes, Taiwan's semiconductor industry is critical. Disruption could cause global chip shortages affecting smartphones, computers, electric vehicles, and military systems. Trillions of dollars in lost economic output in the first year alone. Financial panic as investors react to uncertainty in technology and trade markets. China knows this, which is why the decision to act is fraught with risk. Invading Taiwan might achieve political symbolism, but the global economic backlash could be catastrophic. This is the essence of the $2 trillion trap. Any conflict threatens both sides, but delay increases the risk of miscalculation. The human factor. Beyond economics and military hardware, there is a human element. Taiwan's population is highly motivated to defend its homeland. Civilians are trained in emergency response, urban defense, and resilience. Military personnel are highly skilled, operating under doctrines designed for maximum efficiency against superior numbers. Any PLA operation faces not just strategic obstacles, but determined human resistance, which history shows can turn the tide even in asymmetrical conflicts. This human factor amplifies the challenge for China, making the cost of invasion far higher than simple numbers suggest. The timing pressure. Why war could be imminent? Several forces are pushing China toward a potential decision. Taiwan's growing defenses. Every year, Taiwan improves its military, strengthens alliances, and integrates advanced technology. Delay increases operational risk. U.S. and allied posture. Forward deployments, joint exercises, and intelligence sharing make an invasion more visible and harder to execute stealthily. Domestic pressures, slower economic growth, and demographic challenges create incentives to rally nationalism around Taiwan. Global market exposure. Every day, Taiwan remains a critical choke point. Its control over semiconductors and technology supply chains more valuable and more tempting for Beijing. In short, the longer the world waits, the smaller China's window for a successful, low-cost operation becomes, increasing the likelihood of bold action before the risks grow too high. Taiwan is more than a flashpoint. It is a keystone of global stability, both militarily and economically. Its defenses, combined with U.S. support and regional alliances, make any Chinese invasion extremely costly and complex. Yet the pressures on Beijing, shrinking strategic windows, rising domestic expectations, and the lure of semiconductor dominance create a perfect storm. Every day increases the stakes, turning hesitation into risk and potentially making war inevitable. The $2 trillion trap is not just about money. It is about global security, technological supremacy, and the fate of millions. The stage is set. Taiwan has fortified its defenses. The United States and its allies have positioned forces in the Pacific, and China faces mounting pressure to act. What happens next is not just a regional crisis, it is a potential global catastrophe. The $2 trillion trap is no longer hypothetical. It is a looming reality, and its consequences could reshape the 21st century world order. The flashpoint, how a war could begin. While analysts debate the exact trigger, a plausible scenario begins with escalating provocations. Military exercises turn dangerous. PLA ships and aircraft conduct increasingly aggressive maneuvers near the Taiwan Strait. Taiwan responds with warnings, mobilizing defenses and activating anti-ship and missile systems. Cyber and economic pressure. China launches coordinated cyber attacks on Taiwanese infrastructure, aiming to disrupt power grids, communications, and logistics. Economic coercion targets multinational companies reliant on Taiwanese semiconductors. The accidental spark. A miscommunication, an intercepted aircraft, or an unexpected naval encounter could trigger a rapid escalation. Once forces engage, the operation quickly escalates from a local skirmish to a full-blown conflict. In this scenario, the $2 trillion trap becomes tangible. Global economies, supply chains, and alliances are immediately drawn into the conflict. Taiwan's defense, turning the strait into a fortress. Taiwan's strategy focuses on making an invasion prohibitively costly, forcing China to reconsider or delay. Key elements include coastal missile batteries and anti-ship systems, designed to destroy PLA landing craft before they reach shore, submarines and fast attack craft, capable of disrupting amphibious operations, integrated air defense to defend cities, military bases, and critical infrastructure. Asymmetric tactics, guerrilla-style operations that make occupation expensive and slow. Even a numerically superior force cannot ignore these defenses. Any Chinese operation would require extraordinary coordination and risk, which, if mismanaged, could lead to catastrophic losses. U.S. and Allied involvement. While Taiwan defends itself, the United States and its allies play a crucial role. Forward deployment, aircraft carriers, submarines, and missile defense systems in strategic positions. Intelligence sharing, real-time coordination with Taiwan to track PLA movements. Allied forces, Japan, Australia, and South Korea provide logistical support and contingency planning. The presence of these forces deters unilateral action, but it also raises the stakes. Any misstep could escalate the conflict into a wider war, drawing multiple powers into a confrontation that could span Asia and beyond. Global economic shockwaves. A conflict in Taiwan would instantly impact global economies. Semiconductor supply chain collapse. Taiwan controls the most advanced semiconductor production on the planet. Disruption would halt production for critical sectors: smartphones, computers, electric vehicles, and defense systems. Estimated financial losses exceed $2 trillion in the first year alone. Trade route disruptions. The Taiwan Strait is a key maritime passage. Blockades or conflict would affect shipping from East Asia to global markets. Port closures in Taiwan, Japan, and Southeast Asia would exacerbate shortages. Stock market volatility. Global markets would plunge as investors react to supply chain breakdowns and geopolitical uncertainty. Insurance, shipping, and manufacturing sectors face immediate risk. The economic domino effect would touch every continent, demonstrating that Taiwan is far more than a regional issue. It is a linchpin of the modern global economy. Humanitarian consequences. War in Taiwan would create a humanitarian crisis. Millions of civilians could be displaced due to bombings, urban combat, and missile strikes. Infrastructure destruction, including power grids, hospitals, and water systems, would strain emergency response. Neighboring countries could face mass migration, adding pressure to regional resources. History shows that modern wars, especially those involving densely populated areas and advanced technology, create cascading humanitarian consequences, further complicating diplomatic resolution. The strategic implications for China faces its own peril. Any military action risks, severe economic retaliation from the United States and allies, supply chain disruptions that cripple domestic industry, political fallout if the campaign fails or becomes protracted, global isolation as other countries impose sanctions or reconsider trade partnerships. The $2 trillion trap is a double-edged sword. Victory is possible, but the cost could threaten China's economy, military, and domestic stability for years. The global domino effect. If conflict erupts, global dominoes could fall rapidly. Asia-Pacific security. Japan, South Korea, Australia, and Southeast Asia must respond militarily or politically, potentially drawing in NATO or other powers indirectly. Technology and manufacturing. Global shortages in semiconductors disrupt everything from consumer electronics to defense systems. Financial markets. Trillions of dollars of market value could vanish in weeks as uncertainty spreads. Energy security. Blocked shipping lanes affect oil and gas transport, raising global prices. Every domino amplifies the next. A regional conflict transforms into a global crisis, demonstrating why Taiwan is called the $2 trillion trap. Why conflict could be inevitable. The pressures on Beijing are mounting. Taiwan's defenses grow stronger each year. The U.S. and allies fortify their positions. Domestic pressures demand nationalistic victories. The strategic advantage of speed decreases as Taiwan and the world prepare further. Delay increases risk. Act too aggressively and risk international backlash. Do nothing, and the window of opportunity closes. The trap is closing, and the world is on the edge of a high-stakes gamble. The countdown to global impact. The $2 trillion trap is not just a warning, it is a countdown. Taiwan's strategic importance, combined with its technological dominance and global economic interdependence, creates a situation where conflict, while avoidable, may be increasingly likely. The world is watching a potential flashpoint of unprecedented consequence. Taiwan stands ready to defend itself with asymmetric tactics, technology, and civilian resilience. The United States and allies are prepared, though risk escalation with China. China weighs time, domestic politics, and global backlash as it considers its next move. Global markets, trade, and technology are intertwined, meaning the consequences of conflict would be felt everywhere. In short, the $2 trillion trap is the perfect storm. Military, economic, and political pressures converging on a single island that holds the fate of the 21st century world in its balance. Final words for the viewer. This is the story the headlines rarely tell. Taiwan is more than an island. It is the technological and strategic heart of the modern world. The stakes are enormous, the risks are global, and the countdown is real. The $2 trillion trap is unfolding before our eyes, and every decision, delay, or escalation could ripple across continents, reshaping the global order. If you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to like and subscribe to Hidden History Vault for more deep dives into geopolitical secrets, historical strategy, and the forces shaping our world. Every subscriber helps uncover stories that others don't want you to know.